All right, hi guys, we're going over conversion sheet 3. I'm going to walk you through each problem and show you how to do it. So the first one, we're going terameters to meters. And the first thing you always do on all of these problems is put the number that they give you and the label over 1. And then the second thing I always do is take just the label and put it down there. So now I've got meters on the bottom. Then you'll want to look at your conversion card or your sheet with your metric conversions on it. And on there, I can see that 1 terameter is equal to 1 times 10 to the 12th meters. So I'm going to flip it. So I have to put my 1 terameter on the bottom because that's where I have to have terameters. And then I'll put the 1 times 10 to the 12th meters on top. And then once I get the unit that they're asking for on top, I know I'm done. They want meters, and I have meters on top, so that means that I'm done. So then I'll plug it into my calculator, and I'll do 55,000 times, and then I'll do 1. In my calculator, I have an EE button, so I did 1 second EE, and then I just type in 12. So on here, it looks like 1E12. There's no times 10 in there. If you do a times 10, it'll give you another exponent. And it gives me 5.5, 2 sig figs, because that also has 2 sig figs, times 10 to the 16th meters. Sig figs, scientific notation, and the label. On the second one, I put my given over 1, and then I take my label and I put it down here. And now I'm already at the base unit, so I can go ahead and put microliters up here. And then I check my chart. Micro is here, and I can see that in 1 liter, this is 1 meter, but remember this could be liters or grams or meters. In 1 liter, I have 1 times 10 to the 6th microliters. Okay, and my liters cancel, and I'm at microliters. So I know I'm done because the units that they want are up on top. So then I plug it in. I'm multiplying. I didn't say that last time, but I'm multiplying because the number is on top. And I'll do 1 second EE6. I end up with 4.4. That has 2 sig figs. I still have 2 sig figs times 10 to the 2nd, and then my label. The next one, I'll take my same thing, my given, and I'll put it over 1 with the units. And then I have to take the units and put it down here. And now this one, when I go to look centi up on my chart, I can see that centi will take me to the base unit. So centigrams will take me to grams. It won't take me to picograms. So I'm going to have an extra step in here. This has to get me to grams. And if I use these numbers, but I'm going to flip them around. I have my centi on the bottom. So that means I have to put my 100 on the bottom. And I have to put my 1 on top. If I stop there, that takes me to grams. And I don't want grams, I want picograms. I'm going to keep going. So now I'm going to take my gram and put it down there. And that's the base unit. So I can go ahead and go to picograms. If I look at my chart, it's 1 times 10 to the 12th picograms and 1 gram. 1 gram, 1 times 10 to the 12th. When I plug this one in on the calculator, I'm gonna divide by the 100 because it's on the bottom. Oop, I forgot a 7. 7 divided by 100, and then times 1 second EE 12, right, like that. And I get 7.7 times 10 to the 7 picograms. All right, this next one I've got gigameters over 1, and then I'll take my gigameters and put it down here. This first step, I look at my chart, and if I have 1 gigameter, that's what I've got down here, then I've got 1 times 10 to the 9th meters. So now I'm at the base unit down here at meters. But that's not what they want. They want decameters. So I have to keep going. Now I take my meters and I put it down here. And then since I'm at the base unit, that means I can go to deca. I'll look back at my chart here, and 1 decameter is 10 meters. And I'm going to use it just like that. 1 decameter is 10 meters. And then I plug it into my calculator. I'm going to multiply by this one because it's on the top. And then I divide by 10 because that one's on the bottom. I get 4.9 times 10 to the 12th. Actually, no, I don't, because I hit times. I'm going to divide by 10 on that last step right there. So I get 4.9 times 10 to the 10th. All right, now we got a lot of zeros. I'm going to be lazy. I don't want to write that whole number. I'm going to make it 7.7 times 10 to the 369 tenth. You don't have to do that, but I don't want to write all those zeros. So I'm going to make it that. Nanometers over 1. And I'm going to take my nanometers and put it down here. And I'll look at my numbers, and it says that 1 times 10 to the 9th nanometers. One times 10 to the 9th nanometers is equal to 1 meter. So I'm using this one, but I'm going to flip it and put this on the bottom and the 1 meter on top. That cancels out the nanometers. I'm at meters, but that's not what they're asking for. Then I'll take my meters and put it down here. And then when I look at my charts, I can find that I can get from megameters to meters. If I have 1 megameter, that is 1 times 10 to the 6 meters. Then my meters will cancel, and I end up with megameters. You got to use your EE button a lot on this one. 7.7, at least I'm using it on this first one because I changed it to scientific notation. So that, and then I want to divide by 1 times 10 to the 9th, because this is on the bottom of the fraction, and then divided by 1 EE 6. So I end up with 7.7 times 10 to the negative 5th megameters. All right, now we're at hectoliters and going to teraliters. I'll take my hectoliters and put it down here. And then when I look up hecto is 1 hectometer, in 1 hectometer there are 100 meters. I'm going to flip it, so I'm going to do 1 hectoliter on the bottom and then 100 liters on top. Okay, so that cancels out my hectoliters, but that doesn't get me to teraliters. So I got to keep going. I'm at the base unit, so now I should be able to go to teraliters. If I look up teraliters, we've got terameters, but remember these M's could be L's. And 1 teraliter, there's 1 times 10 to the 12th liters. I do the 299 times 100 because the 100 is on top, and then divided by 1 EE12 because that one is on the bottom, and I get 2.99 times 10 to the negative 8th teraliters. Okay, here's another one where I'm going to be lazy and not write all those zeros. I'm going to make it 4 times 10 to the 6th micrograms. And I want to cancel out my micrograms first and take it to the base unit, which is grams. If I look it up, micro is 1 times 10 to the 6 microliters. So again, with this one, I have my micro on the bottom. So I'm going to take that whole thing and put it on the bottom and move the 1 gram to the top. Micros cancel, and then they want hectograms, so I'll put my grams on the bottom and hectograms on top, and then I'll look at my chart. Another way to think about this is that the bigger unit is always 1. So hectograms are bigger than grams, so hectograms has to be 1, and then the other one is 100, or you just look it up on your chart. I got 4 EE6 divided by 1 EE6 divided by 100. And that gives me 4 times 10 to the negative 2 hectograms. Okay, my next one, I'm going to put my given on the top and then put it over 1 again. And then I'll put liters here. And this one's going to be easy because liters is already in the base unit. So that means I just have 1 step. I just have to look up megaliters. And 1 megaliter is 1 times 10 to the 6 liters. And that's it, because I didn't have to get to the base unit first. I was already in the base unit. So I got 6.789 times 10 to the negative 3rd megaliters. Oh, this one's not going to be so easy. This is not the base unit. That's not the base unit, so it'll have to be 3 steps. So I'll take my decagrams and put it down here, and then look up decagrams. Deca, in 1 decagram, there are 10 grams. So 1 decagram, 10 grams. And then I'll take my grams and put it on the bottom. And then I can go to gigagrams. If you look up gigagrams, 1 gigagram is 1 times 10 to the 9th grams. So times 10, and then divided by 1 times 10 to the 9th. So I got 2.8 times 10 to the negative 4th gigagrams. All right, this next one, you're giving over 1. Millimeters. And then millimeters goes on the bottom. Not the base unit, and I'm not going to the base unit, so it'll have to be 3 steps. Milli, can you see it? Milli is here, and there are 1,000 millimeters in 1 meter. So 1,000 in 1 meter. Millimeters cancels, and my meters will go down here. And then I can go for meters to megameters because I did it on the other side. And if I look that up again, 1 megameter is 1 times 10 to the 6 meters. I'll take my given divided by 1,000 and then also divided by this one because they're both on the bottom. All right, the next one, same thing, deciliters, and then also deciliters down here. And then look up deciliters. They're 10 deciliters in 1 liter, except I'm gonna flip it. So I'll put my 10 deciliters on the bottom and the liter on top. And then now I'll move my liters to the bottom. Some people get stuck when they get to this step and try to look up liters, but liters is your base unit. So if you get stuck on that step, you're going to look back at the problem and figure out what you're going to, and then look up that one instead. So I'm looking up pico, which is 1 times 10 to the 12th pico. So that's going to go on top with where I put pico. And then 1 on the bottom. Divided by 10 times 1 EE 12. I'm moving the decimal on this one because I don't want to write all those zeros. So go 3, 6, 9, 10. That's like the last one. All right, this one though is already in the base unit, which is nice. I can just go straight to terameters. Oh, so if I look at my sheet, 1 terameter is 1 times 10 to the 12th meters. I just have to do that one step and then plug it in. I got 8.8 times 10 to the negative second terameters. Okay, temperature conversions are really easy. Here I've got Celsius. Remember the rule is if you have Celsius, you add 273.15 to give you Kelvin. I'm going to do one of these and then you guys should be able to handle the rest of these. Probably don't want to give me scientific notation on this one. But remember, sig figs, you can only be as strong as your weakest number. And when you're adding, you do decimal places. This has 2 decimal places. That doesn't have a decimal place. So I'm going to make it 280 with a decimal and Kelvin. With Kelvin, there's no degree sign. So just okay. I'll do one of these other ones. Yeah, so this one's the opposite. They give you Kelvin. So I'm going to do minus 273.15. Maybe you can do that in your head, maybe not. I got 491.85. But remember, sig figs, when you subtract, you can only be as strong as your weakest decimal. The conversion had 2 decimals, but this number didn't have a decimal. So I'm going to look at that 8 and round my 1 up to a 2 and make it 492 degrees Celsius. All right, this one, we are trying to determine if we qualify for an elite baseball camp. You can pitch at speeds of 85 miles per hour. In order to qualify for the camp, you have to pitch at 35 meters per second. All right, so this one was complicated. We have to get miles to meters, and we have to get hours to seconds. That's an easier one. Why don't we do that first? So I'm going to pretend like that's not there, and I'm going to convert this to seconds. I want to get the hours to cancel. So instead of putting it on the bottom where I'd multiply, I'm going to put it on the top. So now I've got this divided by that. They're across from each other, so they'll cancel out. And then I want minutes down here, because I'm going to use that one up there. Yeah, on 1 hour, 60 minutes. Okay, so now if I solved it, I get miles per minute. So I'm still pretending that's not there, though. So now I want to get rid of minutes and take minutes to seconds, and a minute is 60 seconds. Okay, so now I'm at my seconds, so that's good. But I got to get this miles to meters. They've told me, thankfully, because I don't know, they're in 1 mile. I'm putting miles down here because miles is at the top here. So now they'll cancel out. And in 1 mile, it's 1.7 kilometers. And then they didn't tell you, but we just did all of these conversions. So hopefully you can get from kilometers to meters by looking at your conversions. In 1 kilometer, they're 1,000 meters. And kilometers cancel, and I'm at meters per second. Those are the units that didn't cancel. So if I do this math, this should work. I'll do 85 divided by 60 divided by 60 times 1.7 times 1,000, and let's see if we qualify. We qualified. We got 40 sig figs. Got 2 sig figs here, so I'm going to keep it 40 with a decimal point meters per second. And we had to get 35 to qualify.